We're doing the not fun numbers today. So, yeah. I have to tell you, when I told Dani what we were doing today, she was very, very disappointed. I mean, tragically disappointed. It was pretty funny. I
I
was
was like,
deeply
it's
amused.
math class. Oh, but actually, numbers really are fun when you know your numbers, because I think people are afraid to look at their numbers because they
Mhm.
think, well, we want to believe that energy is like, make a great post and then book a 100K deal. Okay, true and false, right? Like, we know that's true and false, because yes, your energy matters. Yes, what you're bringing. Like, people like to tune into people that they want to follow, and it's happy and it's fun and it's all the great. But it can be really discouraging when you don't have an audience that's big enough to make that happen and you don't know that. So what we're going to talk about today is actually really, really important. And over to you.
Let's be honest, the light workers, man, I love my fluffy bunny people, but at the end of the day, there's no substance there. You can manifest it. Okay, but what am I manifesting? Because that part's important, right? And that's basic when we talk about manifestation too, or it should be. How do you manifest what you can't define? So, baseline, you need to know how much money you need to make at the end of the day. So my good friend Megan Hale has a thing that I will link. She calls it good, better, best. And it's pretty simple. What's your good goal? What's your better goal? What's your best goal? Figure those out. Your good goal should be your minimum viable yearly income, right? So that should be the number that you should be basing everything around. Before the world exploded, my good goal for this year was 100K. I wanted to make $100,000. We're going to keep the math simple for everybody's sake, because I'm not any good at it either. So if I want to make $100,000, first thing I have to know, right, is how much I'm making and what I'm selling to get there. So I'm making $100,000. If I'm selling a 5K product, and we're just assuming gross here. Let's not complicate it with net or actual what you're making, because that's another like week entirely, right? Okay. But if we're talking about gross income, $100,000, and I sell a $5,000 product, then I need to sell how many of those? Seriously,
20.
I don't know. 20?
20.
See, you're much better at math than me. So 20. That's 20 $5,000 packages in a year, which, if I break it down backwards, is I have to sell approximately 2 a month, a little less than 2 $5,000 packages a month, which, when you look at it in that light, seems infinitely doable. But how many leads do I need then? Well,
Right.
if I'm selling a $5,000 package, I have to assume, I would assume a higher than average conversion rate, because high ticket converts at a higher rate industry wide in coaching. The last estimate I saw was between 8 to 12%, neither of which are round numbers. So we'll go 10%. 10% is the average conversion rate of high ticket coaching sales. So what's that look like? If I need to convert 20 people at 10%, I need to talk to, what is that, 200 people? I need to talk to 200 people. So then I need to talk to 200 people divided by 12, which means that I need to do 16 sales calls a month or approximately 4 sales calls a week, which isn't bad, right? Like when you look at it in that way, those are numbers that you can go, okay, well, I can actually accomplish that. That makes 100K. Now we're not looking at the factors of actually fulfilling those services or figuring in the time that you need to market or all of that other bullshit. And at high ticket, you actually really do have to factor in service providing time. And that's why it's so much more money. But at the end of the day, if you only have to talk to 4 people a week, that's not bad.
So what's that look like, just to give you guys some perspective? When you're looking at numbers to get those 4 calls, how many people on your email list, how many people on your Facebook, how many on your Insta?
Well, those numbers are much worse than 10%. So,
because otherwise, where are we getting our people? I mean, the question is, where are our people? And you need to know where your people are and how they're going to convert.
Social media converts at less than 1%. Across the board, it doesn't matter what it is, social media converts at metrics of generally less than 1%. It's actually less than 0.5% on Instagram because there's so much spam and bots and otherwise bullshit that it actually converts at a terribly low rate. I think TikTok right now is converting a little bit higher, but who are your people on TikTok?
Right.
What kind of audience do you have on TikTok? If you have one, then by all means use it as a social network. Facebook is where I think most people do the majority of their like business outreach because there's over 1 billion people on Facebook, and it's that place where you can theoretically call in potential leads all of the time. If you're unfamiliar with Eleanor Strong, she's a coach that I like who does almost exclusively organic marketing, and her system is fucking simple. You post, you friend a bunch of people on Facebook, you profit. Like that's, but it's still less than 1%. So if you need to talk to 4 people a week, you probably need to be hitting, what would that be, about 1,600 leads a week?
So does that, and that's not hitting every person in your audience, everything.
No.
So the reason, like, I feel like this is where we have to interject right now. If you're feeling a little barf, like, oh my God, the good thing is if you're not making sales right now, this is ammo. This is your information to know that like, it's not you. And you can do things to improve this. This is not about like, you feel like it's a vacuum. There's a lot of noise. There's some stuff going on. That will be totally transparent.
Tessa, I have hugs and ibuprofen, and if you'd like to come over here, I have a bowl that you could smoke, because I get that it makes your head hurt. I know it. It's a lot. And this is where typically I think when people look at online businesses, they go, I need how many fucking many people, and they run away, right? Because the volume of it is shocking.
And this is where I think some of the energy comes to. We're assuming these numbers are when you're on your A game. And if you're really compelling and you're on your message and your offer is validated, these work really well. And that's good because you can trust in numbers to convert. You like, if you're like, okay, I have to talk to 100 people this week because no matter what, I'm going to sell that 5K package. Don't be sad when you ask 3 people. You're like, okay, I got to get through 100. So that's how many a day, right? That helps because then you just stop taking it so personally, which I think is huge information. Huge. It was for me because I was like, oh God, why doesn't this work? So-and-so just made 100K because they posted 4 times. I'm like, yeah, their audience is enormous.
We are talking, okay, so we are talking right here. High ticket. We define high ticket in this space as packages of a minimum of 3K. And honestly, I would say 3K is scraping the bottom of the high ticket barrel, right? Like, I don't even feel comfortable calling 3K high ticket. 5K, 10K. That is the minimum when we're talking high ticket. The metrics are completely different when we're talking low end things. Okay, so we have a Tessa, which is great because we have a number of low end things that we can talk about and look at numbers for. Let's talk first about readings. So let's say you're doing a card reading, and Dani, how much do you charge for a card reading?
111 still.
Still 111, which seems like a pretty solid rate. Is that for in-person, online? Does it matter?
That's email or phone. Like,
do you charge more for an in-person reading?
When I do them, I don't do them very often just because of where I live, but yeah. Partly because they're coming to my house. I don't go to people's houses, and it really ends up taking more like an hour and a half. I have to set the space, make sure, like,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So $110 for a, let's assume, 30-minute reading by phone or email. Okay, that's great. Now, the conversion rate on a product of this nature is typically higher if you're hitting the right people. For one thing, it's $100. So it costs less. I feel better about it. Let's call your conversion rate. If your audience is already properly targeted, you're going to convert, let's say, 20% of the time. So, okay, that's a different number entirely. What's that look like? If I need to convert 20% of my audience on $100 card reading, and I'm still, now, again, we'll work this backwards. I'm making $100,000 off of a $100 card reading. What's that look like?
Oh, Lord.
I know, right? It's a lot. Divided by...
Well, it's not 1,000 hundreds.
It's 1,000 hundreds, which when I divide that by 12, not multiply, dumbass, divided by 12 is 83 a month. So then we divide that by, we'll go ahead and divide that by 52 because that's still, wait, no, I got to go back. Okay, 1,000 divided by 52 is 19 a week at $100. Now, we said 111, so that's actually 19 is high. You'd probably only need to make 15 or 17 a week, which would mean then, let's say we'll go with 15. 15 times 0.2, no, 15 divided by 0.2 is 75 people that you need to talk to a week about a card reading, which is a different metric entirely, right? It feels, so if you're just posting on Facebook, you're talking to 75 people about a reading. You're either giving them samples or you have a whole funnel on things. This is obviously very basic, but that would be the numbers themselves of how many you would have to hit for a card reading. So let's do, all right, let's
I will say,
go.
I would expect, like in my place, because of what we're talking about, like the volume that you have to do these low-end products, low-priced products, I don't want to call them low-end, but that I tend to sell these to existing customers and direct outreach with like as simple as like a little tiny thing in Messenger, like, hey, I'm running a special this week. I mostly do these on referral because when I have posted in my regular Facebook, it's just, it's a lot of work for the money back, I think.
I agree. And when we're talking about high ticket versus low tickets, so Eleanor's post on Facebook, add Facebook friends, profit method works when you have very specific requirements. You're selling a high ticket item and you are getting enough leads to do the outreach. With a low ticket item, in many cases, especially with something like this, you have to do your own outreach. You're not selling it the same way at all. So yeah, it's direct sales. It's advertisement. How do you get people to buy a card reading? Well, you can give them free samples and then hit them up later for, sales. Specials, but again, you're sending those emails, aren't you? You're sending those messages and you're reaching out to past customers directly and saying, hey, I have a thing.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I did have like what I call the cash infusion projects. Okay, say let's just be realistic. Say you need $500, like by tomorrow. What are you most likely to sell? Now, part of that's dependent on you, but I will tell you, I did this a couple years ago. I had a ridiculous offer. I was like, I want them to never turn this down. It was $88. It was 30 days of live. I will teach you to do tarot readings. And it was invitation only because I wanted special people. And I was like, only you or your friend can come in. That's it. I sold it out in less than 48 hours, a day and a half. Because I needed cash for something. I was like, I need this money, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what could I do that was absolute? And that's where you get to make the choice of like, when you get your offers dialed in, it was so easy to sell and it didn't feel hard to do. Now, if it was something like, I'm generally doing readings, they get like, why would someone buy a reading this week? You have to like dial in that offer. And I think when people really do dial in their $5,000 offer, because they're like, I know what's in it. And I have this great analogy I came up with for those of you confused on benefits versus outcome. Are you ready?
I'll take it.
So fucking good. Because it's hit me like a brick. I just so sorry, guys. Okay, the outcome is we're going to Hawaii. The benefit is we are going on a 737. You get 37 inches of seats. We're serving food. Moana will be playing. The plane leaves at 10 fucking 30. Do you care in some ways about the fucking airplane? Or do you want to get to Hawaii and how fast?
You want to get to Hawaii. That's all I care about. I just want to go to Hawaii. I don't give a shit about Moana.
Right? Like, you're cool. Like, okay, I'm not riding in the luggage and I don't really want to sit by the porta potties, but we're going to Hawaii. How we're, like getting there is second to the outcome. And that hit me. Like, if more people knew that analogy, I think you'd really understand. The outcome is Hawaii. Yes, it's nice to get there first class. Most people want to get to Hawaii. If you'll get them to Hawaii, it doesn't really matter. And I really mean, like, it's not different between the first class and the coach. And, now you don't get to take even your purse on. But that's part of whether you're luxury branding or not. But the outcome is, start thinking about it that way, is so much more important to know exactly where we're going with this thing. Because if I want to go to Tahiti or to Thailand, or I want to go to Cleveland, I want to know I'm on the right plane. And that
matters. Yes. The plane matters. The destination matters.
Do you give a shit if it's a 737 or an A330 unless you're a plane geek? No.
I'm having a difficult time with this only because I think that I am a plane geek, and I did not realize that I was a plane geek until just this moment. But apparently I am a plane geek because I care about those things. But you're right. Most people do not give a fuck what the plane is. They just want to get there. Will there be turbulence? Right. That's maybe a question you can answer for them, but not what the plane looks like. Nobody cares.
Well, And here's one thing that if we're going to ride this analogy all the way across the ocean is that
Please
if the
do.
plane matters to you, okay, so the plane matters to you because you're like, okay, how much space am I going to have? And this is container. If you think of your container as, I just want to get there. I'm cool with Alaska Airlines and one bumpy little 2-engine ride to Hawaii from Seattle, because these are our choices, right? Or if you're like me and you're total like, I want to be as comfortable as possible because I'm very emotional. I want to ride in that big airplane that's more new, that's this, and people are going to wait on me and call my name and give me a pillow and give me a drink while I'm still sitting on the ground in Seattle because I'm not doing this shit sober. That kind of is the perfect analogy for high ticket and like programs and containers of like, what are you giving people as an experience to get there? And when you sell it to them in the terms of like, this is why it's 5,000 is, yeah, we're
This is why it's the first class experience. Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me why it's the first class experience. But again, I still don't fucking care about the plane. It's at the end of the day, what I care about is how I'm going to feel. I care about how you're going to treat me. I care about the fact that when I get off the airplane, you're going to lay me, because that is obviously the most important thing about going to Hawaii, right? These are the experiences that we have to shape and build into the sales process, but I still don't care about the plane.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so part of even selling that $88 course was like, it's invitation only. And I told them and they felt special because I trusted them with the space. I don't just teach spiritual stuff to anybody. Right. And so when you're even thinking about your offers, like, we're definitely giving, we're still giving. And it's, anyway.
Okay, so let's talk about lead gen, because this is the part where when we actually break out the numbers, everyone goes, I don't have enough. Tessa doesn't have enough. I don't have enough. Nobody ever has enough. So
nobody ever
has enough. And I want you to understand that you do not have enough leads. You never had enough leads. You're always building more leads. It's always a process. So what are the best ways to get new leads in?
Feathers and boobies, nakedness, and showing your ass on Instagram. Yeah.
I mean, we are talking to woo people. So for some of them, yes, actually, feathers and boobies and new shoes might actually be the way.
It might be. No, truly. I mean,
but you gotta have a plan.
I do think when people say energy, because I do believe it's in the energy is a better way to say it, is like, what are you selling me? Because I get very turned off anymore by really angry, witchy people who want to solve by punching people in the face. And that is a tactic for some people. It's just not something I'm interested in. So lead gen, I still think, are we talking free content? What are you giving away for free? How are you building relationships? Are you asking me this? Or are you asking me like, how do I get people onto my email list?
Well, like, I guess that's a different question, isn't it? Because when we talk about lead gen for you and I, there are clear distinctions between paid and unpaid. So let's start with the unpaid lead gen stuff, the basic stuff that people should have in place before they approach paid lead gen.
Okay. Oh God, there's so many places to start. Like, where with your free content, I again think this is a solar system for me. There's a lot of stuff out here, and that's the funnel shape for me, is there's all this stuff that's out here that's pretty general. And then as you get closer and closer, it gets more expensive and more specific to you and high touch. So for me, that's books, that's social posts, that's participating in free groups. I have found, I will tell you, if you're in the right groups, like I'm in a lot of author groups. I did that very heavily earlier last year. What year are we on?
I know. What decade is it? In the year of Corona, what the fuck day it is? Who the hell knows? I think it was this year, actually. I think it was January and February when you were doing all of the heavy author outreach.
Yeah, and it was great from a couple of things. One, I refined my clients a little more because I realized that there are two sets of authors who like to make money and authors who want to get paid for being geniuses. And that's the line. The people who are like, I'm going to make money no matter what, those are my people. So, but going in and helping truly was good for my soul. It gave me a place to give people free content. I got to refine talking to clients that weren't clients. I also refined my enrollment process more. And I had never done it before because I was a little afraid of like, oh God, they're going to suck my soul. And I just chose how much I was going to give, which was I set a time limit every day. And that actually brought a lot of new people into my universe. Some who were never going to buy, some who were very interested in buying quickly, some who became clients. So what was the other question? How do I get people into the universe? Still for me, because I'm a writer, writing. I still do what I do. And I don't work hard on my email list because I don't want to write the email list.
And we will tell you, marketing, man, you gotta like your marketing. I do not care what it is you're doing. If you do not like your marketing, I can tell. I am going to be able to tell that you hate your marketing. So, like, writing for me is a very laborious process. I love to write, but I'm very perfectionist about my writing. So, turning out a 3K piece takes me a long time. It takes me a couple of weeks and many rounds of editing, and that is not Facebook content. But this shit, I can knock out an interview or a video series or a podcast episode with significantly less prep time. And then I have all of this content. And with podcasts and videos in particular, I can recycle it. I can turn it into different things. I can take an audio piece and turn it into an audiogram. Tessa hates to send emails, so she's right there with you. I love my email list, although I got to be honest, it's been a few months since I've emailed because I didn't want to contribute to Corona noise. And I can't be the only one who got emails from people I had never known or heard from in like years in my inbox. We're thinking of you in this time. Like, fuck you, and you're this time. I don't want to read your email.
I am very much a quality over quantity person. And I will tell you, like, at one point when I was heavy on my list building, I gave away a free copy of my book as an opt-in, and I still love opt-ins. I just think your opt-in has to be something people actually want. It has to be fast. It has to be instantly implementable. Like giving them your book, I don't think it's, for some people it is. Give them the short book. The chances are they'll do a chapter of the book or a short ebook, something that immediately, or like a program you work through. But if you give them a 300-page book, you just gave them your soul. I've had more results from people buying it in Barnes and Noble, or when I send it to them, because some people, if they reach out to me honestly and say, oh my God, I love your work, where can I buy your book? I can't find it. But some people, I used to send those out to people because I have boxes of them in my house to give. I carry them in my purse, you know, I'm always armed. That converts better because people, like, if someone gave you a book, that's a gift, right? They're not throwing. Sometimes I think it would, like, if you're at the county fair and everybody's selling everything, you're selling hot tubs, you're selling funnel cakes, you're selling light chasers, which is a lot like Facebook these days. Are you the person that takes time to talk to someone and treat them like a human being? Relationships make a big difference. So whatever the marketing is that you can bring people in and start really building a relationship, and however you deliver best. I'm a great writer. My second thing that I'm finding is actually talking when I'm talking to a person.
So Tessa, all right, let's talk about, since Tessa came today, she gets free coaching.
Yeah. Cool.
So let's talk. She says she wants to do more videos, but there's so much noise out there right now. Tessa's primary offering at this time is readings. So because the laundry's been coroned, so let's what would be a good way for her to do video and get people engaged? Live readings?
So I've seen my friends that are card readers a couple of great different ways. I don't think they do as well out in the open because people are more likely, the people who are scared of it are more likely to flag your content. It's more likely to get passed over in the noise. But I do have a friend who had a 10,000 person reading group, and she made a shit ton of money every day, even selling $11. $22 per big readings for a 111 or 222. And how she got them in there was she did a consistent like daily card flip for the group, or free card flips for people who came for 5 or 10 minutes. Then she got the group going. Then they did them in there. So if you hopped on and got on her free stuff, and then you could buy the bigger stuff when they offer it.
Aha, there it is, Tessa, right there. So you've been doing messages and mimosas. You've been posting your video readings to your page. Don't do that. Post them in your new free Facebook group, and people have to join your group to get the answers to the flips.
And it was also searchable groups. Like I think the group was free and paid psychic readings, blah, 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 blah. It was a very long title, but the thing, it was searchable, and that's why she got so many people. There'll be a lot of people who want the pick me free readings and stuff. But the thing is, it's easy to convert all day long. And then you could pay to be a reader in her group, which if you have friends who are hungry for stuff, once you get that going, you pay, it was $30 a week. And so you could, if you're just needed to make some cash, hop in, pay $30, and you could be an approved reader for the week, and you hashtag approved reader. And then you could like post, hey, who wants a love reading? Who wants a love spell? It's one of the few places where you can sell spells. I didn't say that out loud, but it is true. And she made bank, and it was fast. She went from like, yeah.
Now, to be fair, she is currently in Facebook jail, is she not? I believe we are talking about the same person here. So,
yes.
But I think that she's in Facebook jail because she was advertising this stuff on her personal profile and not directing people with the free stuff to the group.
Right. And I think there were some policy violations. Here's the thing is selling spells is illegal under the FTC, right? And the FCC. You cannot sell spells in regular media, in which case there are some terms of service. And I think her spells probably had something to do with it. And the fact that like, it's one thing to do a card flip. Most people are kind of used to seeing that, but you start full on witching it with spells on Facebook.
You just don't use the word spell. There are lots of ways around this. You just offer spiritual mentorship. Hell,
yes,
that costs more anyway than a love spell. Spiritual mentorship is something I'll pay money for, right? So that's the difference.
Right. And it really is a process, I think, of getting people into your group so that you have a focused audience that's interested in what you have to say. Groups are, that's why people are doing them. And if you make your group special and interesting and kind of different, like I love that, what is it called? Something, musings and mimosas? What is that?
It's, yeah, I believe, if I remember, it's yes, musings and I don't remember that. No. I don't know. I'm nearly positive
that sounds fun.
That's what it is.
And the ones that I've gone to where people have them at a time where you know that Friday night at 6 you can tune in, like that does, it kind of cramps some people's style. But if you know that on Friday night at 6 you can go to a concert or go to the card flipper's always there, then I'm never missing it. I'm trained to be like, oh, it's Friday night. Let's do a reading. Let's do a da-da-da-da. And it does help. I really
when
think.
we started it, so I was working with Tessa on this one last year, and we started it as a Facebook Live, and we were doing it on her Facebook page, and she was consistently getting between 8 to 12 people every morning because she was doing them in the morning. Like it was how I started my day. And I was messages and mimosas. Thank you very much, Tessa.
Musings. All right. Messages and mimosas.
Messages and mimosas. So
Nice.
yes, and it was morning, and that's how I started my day. I got my card reading every morning, and Tessa read me my cards, and like I feel you can still bring that back, but you should be, if you do it in a private group, you are more likely to get your looky-loos. That's what it is, right? Like I I don't want to deal with people who are interested in my spiritual path because they're going to talk down on it. Those people won't join your Facebook group. The people who are going to join your Facebook group and pay you money for these sorts of things are the people who actually care about them. And you can continue to just do the pictures on your profile and then invite people into the group to come get the reading at the end of the day or tomorrow's flip, however you want to set that up. That is a better way to get them into your sphere regularly.
And another, just a quick idea that I saw work really well for a friend of mine who's super low tech. She's been an astrologer for 3 or 4 decades. She has a really good local following. So what she decided to do, and I mean in the simplest way, and I want people should be super inspired. So she basically invited all of her friends to her group, made it free. She changed the name every month so it had a theme. So you have to always actively opt in. I'm not sure that I recommend that because it would probably be 5,000 people by now. Was that she did 10 minutes every morning at 7, whatever it was, on the astrological weather. So same idea, but she never charged for anything else. She made the occasional, like a 3-day offer of like whatever she did, because she's a Reiki teacher. She teaches intuition, all of these things. Every couple of days or so, she'd say, if you love what I'm doing, here's the PayPal donate button. Okay. First month she did 300, then 500, then 3,000, then 5,000. And that group was never bigger than 300 people. Some people loved her so much because they felt like they could, and she had a good audience. Her audience was all over the place. And just to
this
donate.
might be good for you too, Tessa, because you really work the donations well. Rather than charging for a straight up reading, get yourself coffee, or which is KO-FI, I think, and literally just start soliciting donations. If you find value in the work that I am doing for you here, buy me a cup of coffee, buy me wings, they will buy you wings. So you just have to have a very specific system to get new people in. So again, it's all about the new people. Leads are what people always have problems with. In Facebook groups, then, the best way to get new people into your Facebook group is to have other people promote it. We are starting here. We started with like close friends and stuff. We'll be adding in a few more of our people as the week goes on. Next week, we're running a free challenge. And then after that, we will start interviewing people, because calling my good buddy Leanne Hale and saying, hey, come talk about publicity for my witches, which she'll do in a heartbeat because she loves us dearly, and we'll have one of these, and then she'll promote it, right? She'll promote it on her page, she'll promote it in her group, she'll promote it in all of her places. And because we're very specifically targeting the witchy types, those people will come to us without much additional effort. So interviews are good. For you, Tessa, I would consider free readings, honestly. And that's people who you would like to read for, who potentially might pay you money down the road. Say, hey, I'm doing a free reading this week in my group. I would love to do you. Come join me on a Zoom call and we'll do it live. People can watch it. They'll promote the hell out of that shit, right? Hey, I got a free reading from my friend Tessa. Go join her group. Like, that's how you get your people. And then your people, because obviously we saw from the Unpuzzled donation drive, your people will donate pretty consistently. So if you can donate, get them to donate then for you on a regular basis because you're doing good spiritual work for them, you could expand out on that pretty significantly.
And I will say that this particular person that was doing it has became a minister at 20 some years ago, so that it always could be donations. Like that was how she reconciled her spirituality and money, and she makes great money. She gives a lot of it away. But anyway, that was how it all started. And I think it works really well in today's, buy a cup of coffee. You don't have to become a nonprofit to do that, but people love to give value. That's the thing. And so,
well, and let's talk about how that works with spiritual work. We have about 15 more minutes, and I think this is a perfect way to wrap it up. Because when we're talking about witchcraft and paganism in particular, right, there's a lot of energy around doing the work in a spiritual capacity and making money off of it, right?
Yeah, I think in fact I was thinking like we should have a whole round of like a ritualized poverty vow breaking, because
love you, Tessa. We'll talk soon. Thank you for coming.
Because when I can get kerfluffity about any of that, I'm like, okay, so 400 years ago, I'm in the village. People need this. What am I taking for payment? I'm taking, oh no, I only take chickens. I'm only taking chickens. I don't take your best horse. Oh, I just cured your son. No, it really is about in that, like, take, that is.
But no, there's fair here. It's fair because this was how we did the work without getting, burned at the stake or killed as the village witch, because that was very much a thing, right? So we've internalized it culturally as doing the spiritual work for money has a cost.
Yes, I think that there's so much in the way people. It was funny because when we talk about the old stuff, I very much still have a lot of like throat chakra stuff around that. And it did slow me down a lot because of my ability to talk about it. It's like, well, if it's spiritual, we're still giving it away. We're giving it away. But the truth is that it was okay, without starting a riot here, like for the church to take the money to do the spiritual work in the community. And I still have lots of good thoughts of churches. Like I say, I had a good church experience where churches did very good things in my community. And we're a place that could give away spiritual stuff. But as healers, we still are like, it's like there's this huge divide of, if I do the spiritual work, I'm either going to be like super big, I'm going to be above it, and I can't be too earthly about it because, like I'm going to charge $50,000 for this because I'm honoring the spiritual gifts, right? Or we're like, okay, I'll just give it all away for free. It's meeting that middle ground that a lot of us is like, where is this a business? Why can it be a business? Can spiritual things be a business? And
can I take my spiritual things, turn it into a business without becoming, say, Abraham Hicks? That too is another question. Like, can I do these things without becoming? No, I still really mostly like Marianne Williamson's work. I like the work that she does. I was proud of her for running for president. Like, let me vote for Marianne Williamson, please. That would have been amazing. But there's a lot of
it's women.
Mm-hmm.
It's women. Eckhart Tolle is great. He's doing good financially. Okay. Wayne Dyer was very wealthy. He was wealthy. He lived in Maui. When I met him, like you could just tell he was very abundant and he owns it. But women are having a harder time with that. Like once we get to a place, then we start tearing them down or saying we don't get them, or like we are our own worst enemies with some of it.
Oh God, ain't that the truth?
I'm still caught on the like, wait, Abraham Hicks, what happened? What happened? But
if you want the actual short version, I have a real hard time with Abraham Hicks's work, largely because it is very victim blaming. It's
oh, okay, yeah.
But that I feel has more to do specifically with how I feel about the law of attraction and how it is frequently taught than very specifically Abraham Hicks.
I see. Yeah, and that's this whole conversation about why I think even starting back to there's so much in here that we can talk for hours about, is that when we go back to our numbers, when we don't want to look at numbers as spiritual people because we're like, we are the magic and we understand that it's the energy in our hearts and the healing and the vibe, whatever you want to call it, the energy, that energy is so overused now. The matter, the work that we're bringing is in a spiritual realm to try to like look at numbers and go, okay, well, all it takes is one person. That's true. That's why there's that conflicting message. And then we don't want to look at our real numbers of like, because how am I going to save the world if I have to get 1 million people to my audience when I have to just start with my neighbor? And that is the truth, is that how do you start really expanding what you're doing so that your work is big and that your numbers, it starts affecting people? That's why books are great leverage. That's why YouTube's channels are, because you can help. Not everybody is going to buy. Y'all need to know that. If you don't know that, everybody is not like, it's dating. I'm like, I was thinking about this in the shower before I came here. I'm like, it's like, we need to look at our numbers of like, we're going to the date-a-thon and we're going to go, okay, this guy, no. This guy, nice to meet you. How do you do? Yeah, pizza. This guy's a coffee date. Oh, hi, Thor. Right? Like,
oh my God, but it's so true. You gotta go through a lot of fucking coffee dates before you get to your Thor type clients.
Right. And that's fine as long as we don't expect of like this is where I love the analogy of the lean back, is like, I'm going to go to a date-a-thon and I may or may not come away with a soulmate. I might. I am probably going to meet some really nice people. And if you're doing your job, you will meet a lot of people. It will not feel like you want to barf or get mad or resentful when people don't buy, because you're like, I met a lot of really great people. That was super fun, delicious. I'm super happy. So you're like, I've got 16,000 people on my email. Wow, that's really fun. I know that many people around the world. And that's how I feel about my audience.
Amazing, right?
People all over the world. And I wish some of them, someday I'd really love to work with them. Some of them, I think they're here just to be inspired. That's awesome. I fucking inspired someone today. If you're doing your soul work, I really do think you're not going to be resentful that that person didn't buy. You will be happy that you're serving a purpose in the world. And then because you are making sales to the right people.
Well, and what are your conditions for winning? So this is a lesson that I learned from the lovely Heather Craig, who, when she saw my CRM, as we know, it's pretty datafied. Like, nobody should be surprised that I have a CRM and it's beautiful and it's in Notion and it's fantastic. But because it's a CRM, there are categories, right? When you move someone through a workflow, there is, who is this person in my workflow right now? Are they a lead? Is this what I'm trying to sell them? And when those are your only conditions for how you interact with people, you're always going to lose. Sometimes
I,
my conditions for winning are getting them to a podcast interview. Sometimes it's getting to know what they do so that I can add them to a referral list, right? At the end of the day, I have a lot of calls, I have a lot of interactions. I have to be willing to accept that 90% of the time it's not going to be a sale. So how can I win? How can I take that not sale and turn it into something that's beautiful and productive, that I feel like I've won something? Your
yeah.
conditions for winning are going to be different because what you sell is going to be different. How you interact with people is going to be different. But you can and should find those things that allow you to build relationships without always being about, what are you going to buy from me today? And women in particular, I think, have a really hard time with this because we don't want you to buy anything from us at all. We don't want to sell to you at all. We're afraid of selling. We'd rather not do those things. If you could just come over here and buy it because you love me, that would be fantastic. So the other side of that too is, what's a condition for selling? What's the condition for having a productive relationship? And what's it look like when the right person walks through the door and I can sell them something amazing and they'll benefit from it?
Yeah, I love what Melanie Ann Layer says about, like, I want you to be here because you want to be here. I'm not going to pester you. I'm not going to chase you. And I, at one point in my own journey, did go through a lot of, like, I'm going to convert that sale. I'm going to convert that sale. I'm going to get them off the fence because it's good for them. And I know it's good for them because, you know, when you have an offer, you're like, this is perfect for you. It's like watching your girlfriend try on the prom dress or the dress and you're like, fucking buy that. Right?
And she's going, but I don't know.
I don't know. It's expensive. I don't know if Bob likes pink, whatever, you know, and you're like, buy the dress, wear it at home. I don't care. Why you make yourself a meal, right? And that's when you can't talk someone into it. It's much more fun. You're like, that looks shit hot. They're like, I know I do. Yeah, let's do it. Where are we going with this, right? That's the energy of the sales that feel really good. And when you're doing the work and you've got, but again, back to our numbers thing, when you've got more people, you have more people to choose from who will choose you. Like, it's the thing that feels like the other way. Like, there's so many people out there. Yeah, there's so many people out there. Why is fitness such a big thing? And people are like, I can't do fitness. There's too many people. No, it's because so many people want it. So many people do business coaching because so many people want to make money. You're special, you're unique, you're brilliant. Everybody in here has something super special. And that's what we talk about. Like, we do somewhat similar things vastly differently, and we're perfect for different people. And together we're perfect for certain people where you're like, oh, I love this yin and yang, this, you know, numbers and woo and the feeling and the visuals and the practical, like, yeah. Sorry, I got excited about that one.
There should be no question who the feely and the visuals are and who the practical is in this relationship.
You can sell with magical dancing. You can. If you can get people results with your magical dancing, you can. And you can sell them with total numbers too, because I love numbers. Because ultimately, at some point, we're going to have this whole cash, gross, net conversation, which my business background, your business background, what is the money going in the bank? How much are you making? You know, you're selling $1 million, but you're keeping 100,000. Anyway, are we telling them about Hydra?
Oh, are we? So yes, we should tell them about Hydra. We've got 2 minutes left. Let's tell them about, so because you're all mostly geeky in here, because you are our people, the agency of Hydra, come on, it's funny.
You love it.
Love it. Has been born. Our one and only offer right now. We're doing funnels, but funnels are for us very high ticket, very involved, very invite only. We do want to work with more people, smaller scales. So right now, Dani, tell them about the offer.
Tell them about the offer. Okay, so this is, I think, a brilliant blend of heart and head. Because what we're going to do is take your numbers for your business, for your goal, and then analyze it with the brilliant brains, right? Give you a plan, but here's the kicker, which makes this like no other offer on the internet.
Not that we've seen anyway.
Not that we, is that we are going to create a framework for an invocation for you to start infusing the energy of your magical self into this. And then I am going to do a reading for you, which I don't do very often for people on the business, about what is the energy? What do you need to pull in from these different areas? And so you get the activations and the business plan and know where the hell you're going. Like, how are you going to do this with a written report? Like, we'll spend an hour and a half with you, go over it together, and then send you on with a 90-day written plan of how you're going to pull this off to get to your numbers by the end of this year. Which
best hype man ever.
What?
You are the best hype man ever.
Well, it's still fucking doable. The thing is, like, we're looking at, like, we're getting to halfway through the year. You can, okay, here's the thing that I'm going to just tell you. This is huge. It is. Everybody's like, oh, I'm halfway through 2020 and I didn't make it. Okay, year's fucking 12 months. So you can start your year now. Right? You can say, I'm going to make 100 grand this year. My goal was 300,000 this year. And then March happened and half of April.
March, and then we're April, like, the decade that was Corona.
The audiobook business, Audible's a disaster, I have to tell you. Like, I was very disappointed. My own book, Is It Lost in Some Limbo? I was like, well, what are we doing now? And we sat down for a couple weeks of like, what do we want to do that's cool, that would really help people, that feels fucking great? Let's make money. Let's help people stay supported, stay independent. They're not getting money in my state from anything that's been promised. So we're independent people here. We have things to offer that are beyond essential, that are crucial to survival, happiness, and going on in life. Money, and I have seen people with ridiculous numbers. So don't let anyone tell you there's no money out there.
There's a lot of money out there. And right now, there's a lot of money in spiritual health and wellness because, man, we're all fucked up here. The world has gone to hell. I can't speak for anyone else, but personally, I have certainly retreated into my own spiritual wellness traditions and routines. I've gone back. I've gotten lazy about my daily card reading. I've gone back to my daily card reading. I'm spending more time in meditation. I'm spending more time with the words and the works and the things that matter to me, because that's what I can do to keep myself healthy and sane right now.
And there's, so many people who are
shareable.
Yeah, they are, because you want to say there's a lot of coaches and there's new coaches. There's a lot of leaders who found this situation something they couldn't deal with, and they have disappeared, which means there's a place for you. And a lot of you that are in here, this isn't your first rodeo, not your first day. You're already coaching. You've got momentum. Now is the time to be like, no, I have answers for this and I can help you. That's it. Simple. We're going to Hawaii and we're going in my beautiful plane. And this is how we're going. Where are you going with your people? So if you're interested in this, contact either one of us and we will talk to you about how to get enrolled and get you on your way, because it's going to be amazing.
It is going to be amazing. Thank you guys for joining us. Tessa, you were brilliant and fantastic, and I am glad that we could troubleshoot some stuff for you. And we will see y'all again on Thursday. We're talking, so Thursday is the magic numbers this week. What I wanted to talk about was building in specific intentions. So how do you take your numbers? How do you build those things very deliberately? Because again, attraction is bullshit if you don't know what you're attracting. So that's what we're going to be talking about on Thursday.
Awesome. All
Fun,
right.
fun. Talk to y'all later.
Guys, bye.